Hi everyone, my name is Rosalia Karanja and today we'll delve into resource mobilization at the county level. So what is on-source revenue and how can it drive economic development, you ask? Don't worry, we will delve into that. As also, we are going to be exploring the impact of revenue generation in counties like Laikipia, Kitui and Nairobi. We are hosted by PFM Studios and powered by the Institute of Public Finance. Stay tuned and see you on the other side. I am joined by Veronicah Ndegwa, Senior Research Analyst, Revenue Policy at Institute of Public Finance. Welcome, Veronicah.
Thank you, Rosalia.
She's going to be taking us in depth into this conversation. But before we get there, I want to give you a scenario. Imagine of every county that you have been, and each and every county that you have been, they have a piggy bank. And in every resource they have generated for themselves, the piggy bank adds a coin. Which county, or do you have a county? Don't mention the county because of purposes of being the relationship that we have. Which county do you think, or do we have a county that will have a full piggy bank by a period of 10 years?
I would answer that with a question. Is the piggy bank same size for all the counties?
Yes, the piggy bank is same size. The piggy bank, you're putting a coin for every resource that you've generated as a county.
I think what I can say is that some counties will feel it faster than others.
So you're saying that the piggy bank is going to be full?
Depending
in
on...
a span of 1 year?
No.
No?
Yes.
Where do you think the piggy bank will be?
It will differ across counties depending on the speed at which they'll generate the coins to put in the piggy banks.
Do we have a county, in your experience, that will not have any coin?
No. All of them at least will have something in their piggy bank. Yes.
Interesting. We're talking about resource mobilization, and that is one of the things that she's going to be taking us through. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of on-source revenue and resource mobilization in counties. And as you have just told us that you have experience in resource mobilization in counties, how has that experience been like, and why did we decide that now we want to give technical assistance to counties in resource mobilization, or what we are calling on-source revenue? And you can actually even expound further what on-source revenue means.
All right. Within the Kenyan context, on-source revenue refers to revenues generated by counties at their level. It's a bit different from what we know to be revenues at the national government level. And the genesis of it was when we promulgated the constitution the new constitution in 2010, and we set up a devolved system of governance, and with it there is a good level of separation of powers between the national government and the county government. So within Article 209 of the constitution, we have counties getting powers to generate their own source revenue or revenues at their level. And primarily there are two: property taxes, or what we call land rates in Kenya, and entertainment taxes. In addition to those taxes, counties are also allowed to charge either a fee or a levy for the services they give. It is on the basis of the taxes and the service charges that counties generate some revenues. The distinction is that for taxes, you don't have to receive a service for you to pay. But for service charges, like what we pay when we go to government hospitals, then those become service charges. So you're paying for a service that you receive. And when all that is put together, we get the resource basket generated at the county level. And that is what we call on-source revenue in Kenya. Yes.
And now, because we have expounded what on-source revenue is and how, I would want you to tell us a bit more on why IPF decided that we want to have on-source revenue, we want to delve into on-source revenue, and then we decided that we want to do this with counties.
All right. Since devolution started, counties have been struggling to generate sufficient revenues. There are various studies that have looked at the potential for counties to generate revenues. One of those is by the Commission on Revenue Allocation, and in their study, they estimated in 2020, they estimated that counties can generate 216 billion, and the gap is quite significant. For the financial year 2023-2024, counties were only able, the 47 counties were able to collectively generate 59 billion. So comparing 59 billion and 216, which is the potential, or which should be the goal for all the counties, then we see there's a huge gap. And over the years, different people have looked at what could be hindering counties from realizing their potential in terms of OSR or on-source revenue collection. And some of it has been administrative challenges and others capacity gaps. And that's where IPF comes in. Our work has two main approaches, and especially when we work with governments. One is research, and then secondly, technical assistance. So the work we are currently doing with counties combines both. So we are doing some bit of research on source revenue, looking at the challenges and proposing solutions to address those challenges, and then again offering technical assistance in things like revenue forecasting and also doing revenue strategies that can guide revenue mobilization.
Yeah, and we are a country of 47 counties.
Yes.
And definitely I know that there is those model counties that we are working with. Could you tell us which counties are this and the further to have gone with this technical assistance?
Right. So currently we are working with 3 counties on source revenue, Laikipia County, Kitui County, and Nairobi City County. And it's a pilot phase of the technical assistance work on source revenue. And part of the reason we chose those counties, first of all, for Kitui, we have been working with the county on different aspects. And so it was easy for us to implement a project with them. Then aside from that, it's the structure of the revenue function. I wouldn't call it department because it differs across the counties. Laikipia for a while now has had a semi-autonomous revenue authority, or what they call the Laikipia County Revenue Board. Kitui operates with a revenue department, and then Nairobi County, as is currently, is a combination of the two. So they have a revenue department, but they also have a revenue authority that is supposed to oversee revenue mobilization. So the goal of choosing the different counties was to create sort of a peer learning platform for different counties to make revenue mobilization easier and more efficient. And so there's something that Kitui can learn from Laikipia, for example, and Nairobi, despite it being ahead in terms of its revenue collection, can learn even from the other counties, for example, Laikipia, in terms of administrative efficiency. So the goal is to encourage cross-learning across counties. And our approach has 2 aspects of it. So we started with technical training on revenue forecasting. This we delivered as IPF, but we also had support from the Commission on Revenue Allocation. Then the second phase of it, and this we have been able to achieve in Kitui and Laikipia, was development of revenue enhancement strategies. And of the 2 counties, we have made more progress with Laikipia, who have already disseminated the revenue enhancement strategy across the county. And on the basis of it, we were also able to support them in doing a strategic plan for the Laikipia County Revenue Board. And the reason for doing a strategic plan was to guide performance management within the revenue function in the county. In Kitui County, we have also been able to do a revenue enhancement strategy. And for Nairobi, we are hoping to be able to get it done soon in the coming months, and then we'll be monitoring its implementation and the impact it will have on revenue mobilization across the 3 counties.
I remember when you started off, you had spoke about the gap that we had identified, the 59 billion, and then the potential that there is that counties can be able to raise.
Yes.
Now that you're working with the 3 counties, the model counties, has there been any kind of influence, and have you seen any improvement in the revenue raising that these counties have been doing since we got into this partnership or collaboration?
I would like to point to an early success that I would say we have been able to achieve. And when we started this work, we realized early enough that counties had delegated the revenue administration function to either their revenue boards or revenue departments, which in our assessment was part of the reason that counties are not able to generate as much as they should. I say this because, as I said, we only have 2 taxes, that is property taxes or the land rates, and entertainment taxes, but the rest, the bulk of the revenues that counties collect come from service charges. And so the revenue department is mandated with collecting revenue, but it is not responsible for offering these services. So unless it is clearly communicated to the other departments that are doing the services, that are giving those services, that they actually have a revenue mandate, then the revenue departments cannot be able to collect the revenues they want. So I'll give an example here. For example, in terms of health, health remains the highest contributor of revenue for most counties. But a revenue officer doesn't give revenue service, health services, sorry. And so if the person giving the health services doesn't have it at the back of their minds that I'm giving a service, but I'm also generating the revenue for the counties, they may not put in as much effort as they should. Then the second aspect of it is that some of failure to deliver some services also will affect revenue collection. So let me give an example of like garbage collection. There's usually an environmental fee and a single business permits for most counties. That is supposed to fund garbage collection. So the service is garbage collection, but the taxpayer has paid for it, or the resident in whatever county has paid for it through the single business permit. So the compliance or the voluntary compliance will come if this person is able to receive the services they need, and then they'll be able to pay for their business permit. So most of the revenues are tied to services, and so without cross-departmental collaboration in counties, we may not achieve as much as we want. And so what we did when we were working on the revenue enhancement strategy, and because we mapped it as a gap early on, we're able to bring all departments in working on the strategies. So there are those strategies that are a function, or they directly have to be done by the revenue department. But then again, creating this common understanding that we need the services for compliance to go up was what we were communicating to the departments. And so the joint development of the revenue enhancement strategy brought that holistic approach to revenue mobilization in counties. And we have seen a change. So right now, when we're speaking to the counties, if I pick someone from lands or from health, they can easily tell me what their revenue target is and what they are doing towards it, which was by and large missing before we started the project.
And this you have done across the 3 counties?
Yes, for Nairobi not yet, because we haven't done their strategy document, but in doing the strategy document for Kitui and Laikipia, we were able to bring all the departments that have a revenue function within them. Yes.
I want to take us back to a report that we have done, a policy brief that we partnered with Oxfam Kenya. We released a policy brief on enhancing revenue generation and property taxation in 2023. What motivated this report, and what are some of the key findings and recommendations from this policy brief?
Okay, thank you, Rosalia. The major motivation for us to do the policy brief was guided by our core values, one of them is equity. And in terms of equity, we try to see how the government can enhance the progressivity of its taxation. And for property taxes is a core area of interest, even within our strategic plan, because it is inherently a progressive tax. And so in terms of its design, it's a tax on an asset, and it's not the poor who own assets. And so taxing property means then we are achieving some level of progressivity within our tax system. Then in terms of key findings, one core finding is that counties, including those that have a huge potential for property taxation, rely on very outdated valuation rules. And as a result, they are not generating as much as they should. The second bit of it is not having regular assessments of properties for the purposes of updating their value within their revenue systems. And so what means we are relying on old valuations of properties, and also that limits the level of revenue that the counties can generate. Then another key finding was in terms of law compliance, and partly is because we do not have accurate systems that have valued properties. So sometimes people do not even know that they are not supposed to pay land rates on the properties they own. And maybe the other one that I might mention, counties cannot levy a land rate on a property that does not have a title deed. And titling is handled by the national government. So whenever there's a dispute in terms of titling or a delay, then it means counties cannot collect land rates from such properties. In terms of recommendation, of course, tied to these gaps is for counties to regularly update their valuation rules. And at the same time, other than charging land rates on an improved value of a property, they should charge land rates on improved value of property. The difference is this. The current practice is, regardless of the value of the property, the land rates will be the same. So moving to improved value of property would mean in charging a land rate, you take into consideration the developments in a certain land. So if I have a 10-story building and another person has a 2-story building, by the virtue that I have more value on my property, I should pay more land rate on it. Yes.
We would want to find out how does the government, the county government, now determine that this is a valuation for this property? Is there any document that they use? Is there any chart that they refer to? And is it updated, or how does that work?
Of course, in terms of valuing, it's the same process as when someone is selling land. You get a professional valuer to come value your land for the purposes of the sale. So for counties, they value land for them to be able to levy the land rates. So mostly counties will do that physically, but there have been advancements, and some counties have been able to use GIS systems. An example is Nairobi County, and as a result has been able to improve its collections from land rates. And apart from the GIS systems, is also linking their revenue systems with their data system, which is a GIS system. So we have one system that has information of all properties in Nairobi, but then we have the revenue system that administers the tax or the land rates. So when the two systems are linked, then the county is able to generate more revenue because it has a holistic view of properties within its jurisdiction. So
when you say that this has been seen in Nairobi County, is it also in the other counties, Laikipia and Kitui, our counties, the counties that we work in?
All right. For Kitui, they are in the process of doing a land information system that will incorporate GIS data on lands in their system. And then once that is complete, they have the revenue collection system that they use. The whole idea is for the two systems to be interlinked for the purposes of administering land rates. So the GIS system will tell you we have this many plots in our county and these are their respective values. But it shouldn't stop there. Then that has to be linked with the land rates that are determined in their Finance Acts. So once those systems are linked, then the taxpayers or the owners of these lands will be able to pay for their land rates.